For today's video, we're going to be designing something that might be helpful for you if you've ever found yourself on a fresh wipe server right next to one of these guys, a horse. Now, horses are an excellent way to navigate the map if you're a solo player or if you have a duo partner and you find one of the double saddles randomly spawning out in the world. If you come across one of these horses on wipe day, you may want to find a good way to keep it for later in the wipe, and it's kind of tough to build a base focused around these guys because they do have some kind of specific requirements in order to keep them safe. So I went ahead and put together this little design for a starter base that can be expanded into something pretty sizable, but the primary focus is getting a little spot just for this guy in the base while you're getting started. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into it. What you're going to want to do is start with a square foundation. You can build this pretty much anywhere you've got flat space. Let's go ahead and start right here. This should work just fine. Go ahead and put down some foundations like so. And this is going to be your footprint. So it's going to have some what appears to be honeycomb and a little 1x2 area here. And I'll show you exactly how this is going to go. Now, obviously, you're going to want to have a place for your horse to get into your base. So you may want to build some ramps for it off of this triangle right here. And with that, we're going to go ahead and put some walls all the way around. You're going to want to put a double door frame here so that your horse can pass through, and we'll go ahead and put a door in there and a key lock. Now that your base is kind of secured, you're going to want to go ahead and get that honeycomb laid out, and you'll put a window down here on either of those spots. Put some roofs on that bad boy, put a roof on there, you can put a roof here and here. Now you're going to want to go ahead and put a hard side wall there, a half high wall here, and then you're going to want to go ahead and slap one of these guys down, just like that. Go ahead and close it off with a window, and then your tool cupboard is protected. Go ahead and put a window bar on there just for a little added security. You can go ahead, and if you'd like, you can put a shelf here. Otherwise, you can use other common jump up methods such as a furnace or your fertilizer collector here if you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and just put a shelf here. It makes it a little easier to navigate, in my opinion. And then we'll go ahead and put our fertilizer catcher right in here. Now, you don't necessarily need to start off with the fertilizer catcher or anything like that, but if you've got it, you can go ahead and put it down right away. Then we're going to go ahead and put our hitch and trough in here. You want to go ahead and try to get it as close to this wall as you can. Let's go ahead and just squeeze it right in here. Doesn't have to be perfect, but getting it as far up against this corner as you can and as close to this wall as you can is a good fit for it. Now we'll go ahead and put down some roofs, and you're going to want to go ahead and get your outside fully secured as well. So we're going to go ahead and put down a wall here, here. There we go. That back around, and then we'll put a door frame here for our second double door. Alright, go ahead and cap that off so that way everything is fully sealed. What you've got here is a very, solid starter base for your horse. Let's go ahead and lead him on in here so that way we can get him protected and rested up for our later adventures. Now, this is already a very solid starter. You've got these two little areas here that I affectionately refer to as honeycomb. You can climb up in here, you can place furnaces down in these triangles, and they hold them very nicely. You can put window frames in here to protect them, and that makes it harder for people who are raiding through the honeycomb to get into this section right here, but it also acts as a little bit of storage for you. So down the line, you can put vending machines in there if you want to chop this wall out and make it a door frame. You can put lockers in here with the frame as is, or you can put a variety of other things, including a workbench, refrigerator. I've got a video with some examples, and it's my honeycomb video, so if you see that one linked here in the video, go ahead and check it out if you want some more ideas for what you can do there. Now you can of course add another door frame in here for extra security and put in another double door. You can also put a door here and here if you like for additional security. There's not really an airlock in this design as of yet, but this is just a good way to kind of protect your horse straight off the beach, so that way you have a solid starter base and a place for your horse to sleep through the night. Obviously, you're going to want to get all this up to stone as much as you can before the end of the day, so that way nobody can just flame raid their way in. I would recommend, though, leaving these ramps as wood or even as twig. That way you can chop them out later if you decide that you don't want to keep this as your primary horse barn and want to just use it as primary living space. Now this design can also expand, and I'll show you how that works here. Let's go ahead and get everything up to stone, and I'll show you where you can go from here. Alright, now that you've got your base fully up to stone, I'd recommend upgrading these doors, maybe to metal, for example. That way they're a little bit more secure against flame raids. Go ahead and pop a couple extra ones in these frames as well. Go ahead and lock them up. And things are starting to look pretty good. So like I said, you can use these little honeycomb areas for storage. You can use them to put down workbenches if you like. There you go, like that. And you know, we're back to business here. Go ahead and get all the rest of this up, and then it's possible that by this point you've got the metal window frame if you haven't already gotten a reinforced window if you're not at tier 2 yet. But there you have it. Obviously, these double doors make it difficult to navigate upward in your base, so they primarily act as sort of like an airlock at this point. But once you get garage doors, obviously that'll change. Once this base starts getting a little bit too small for you, you've got some options for expansion. I'd recommend putting a single door frame here in case you want to expand out the front of your base any further. And then, of course, just wrap all the way back around. With this bug, you may have to jump down to the ground level in order to place some of these walls. It's very frustrating, so I understand if it's frustrating for you as well. Then you're going to want to go ahead and add some extra walls in here. You can make this into a bedroom, for example, if you'd like, or a loot room, whichever works for you there. I recommend making this space a room for your battery. That way you've got a little bit of extra security and it kind of prevents people from just raiding straight down into your tool cupboard there. You can go ahead and turn this into a jump up, which kind of lets you get up to the top and start placing these floors to seal it all off. And then obviously you're going to want to seal this in as well. Place some doors on. And now you've expanded up to the second floor. Now, if you want to expand even higher than this, there is a way to expand this and add a shooting floor onto it. If you're looking to just kind of keep this as your primary base all the way through the wipe, even as it stands currently. So let me show you how that works here. Alright, you're going to want to get up to the roof. You're going to want to place a couple of floors in here. Okay, and to make these peaks, you're just going to want to kind of follow along as you see here. All right, that's going to be the bedroom. You can put 2 single beds there. You can put a bunch of sleeping bags in here with some respawn kits, like a locker or some small boxes as well. Now, let's go ahead and get the windows down. Remember, stability is going to be a difficult thing to maintain throughout this. You might need to add additional stability on the sides just to give it the strength that it needs. Generally starting with this square foundation here and then putting the triangle windows next is a pretty good way to kind of get that extra stability. Now, when it comes to adding these doors to kind of prevent people from sneaking into your shooting floor, it's always the right idea to start on the further right triangle and angle the doorway to the left. So it's similar to the way that you would build an airlock if you were trying to build it the correct way, except the door will open outward in this design. Okay, so all of those are laid out right. Now let's go ahead and get some doors on. So the doors you're going to want to open out, right? Make sure you put a lock on them so that way people can't just close them and yoink them. This way, when they are opened, they will stay opened and will not be able to be closed unless somebody with access to this door, such as the owner with access to the key lock, opens it, or rather, closes it in this case. But that prevents people from sneaking through that gap there. So now you've got the doors on the shooting floor, things are starting to look pretty solid. What you're going to want is a way to navigate upward to the top of your base. So we're going to go ahead and put the jump up right here in the front of the bedroom. That way, if you spawn in here and there's people on the roof giving you trouble, you can just spawn right in here and jump straight on up. This will be our jump up. Go ahead and add a door frame just to seal it off, of course. And then we're going to go ahead and start getting these roof tiles placed. Again, if there's not enough stability, you may need to add frames here and there to give the stability that you need. All right, and that's your shooting floor fully sealed off and secured. Now, nobody should be able to push in here. As you can see, I can't drop down into that shooting floor. However, there is this spot in the back where people could theoretically build in and ladder up. And I'll show you how to build a different kind of shooting floor gap. So we'll go ahead and put these triangles down. You only really need one. And now you see that there is a floor directly below this triangle, and it's a square floor, which means we're not going to be able to build a full wall all the way up to the top here, just because of the way that triangles and squares intersect. It's just not allowed in the game at this time. What you can do is you could do a half wall and then a low wall. When you drop down in here, you can't fall out of this gap very easily, but you can see that you've obviously got pretty good angles from here, so it adds a really nice shooting floor gap to this already pretty solid shooting floor. Now we drop back down, delete that square and those triangles, and then your shooting floor is complete. Let's go ahead and get some doors just to make sure everything is completely secure. One there. These guys locked. Window bars on these windows will prevent people from climbing in, of course. The metal ones are going to be a good bet until you get to a tier 2, at which point you can put embrasures on, or the glass windows if you're just, wanting to see outside but not necessarily shoot. You shouldn't really have to worry about those. You can also place from the outside like that, and then you're good to go. But otherwise, that's this base, fully complete. This is built up to what I would consider about a tier 2 base, very solid. Does require some garage doors for the security that you'd want on a base this size. But on wipe day, this is not impossible to build and is a great way for you to protect your horses so that you and your team have a way to navigate quickly and safely around the map. Now, with just kind of the fundamental windows and doors added in here, this is the upkeep that you're looking at daily. For every 24 hours, you're going to want just under 4,000 stone, 2 pickups of wood or less, and then about half of a metal node mined with a metal pickaxe. You've got a lot of utility with this extra, horse garage built into it, and it really is just a kind of neat and bizarre looking base. While you don't have the same security down here on the lower level with an airlock, you do have the added ability to store horses. You can add door frames here if you like. That might get a little tricky near late game if you decide you want to expand this base design, but you can also build out with triangles and go all the way around this part to add a little extra security if you'd like. Something like that, and then of course you can just kind of wall this in for a little bit of extra security there. But that gives you some ideas for directions that you can take this design as you progress through the wipe. That is all that I've got for you today. This is going to be the solo duo horse barn starter base. This one's going to be the Golden Corral. If you like it, let me know in the comments. If there's changes I could make, or if there were things that could have been done differently, let me know so that way I can improve in the future. If you have any questions for me that weren't answered here or are from other videos, you can reach out to me on Twitter. I'm always there. I have a Tumblr now, Spilldrop on Tumblr. I'm just chilling. I haven't put up a whole lot of content there yet, but it's going to be getting some of this good stuff as well. So thanks again for watching. I'm Spilldrop, and I will catch you in the next video. See you later.